like, hey, listen, stay very mundane. Yeah, you're perfectly suitable for the seat assignment as you are. You don't need to progress or get more refined or anything like that. Just forget about your relevance and just show up. That's all I have to do. Take a ferry, get here, and then basically my job's done. Yeah, the action figure's got to get somewhere, but then the action figure sort of like goes out. It goes off. What would you call it? Off the grid, and then comes back when I get home. Whatever. But the subtleties of how the mental state regroups and keeps putting new requirements and new conditions, and also a lot more diagnoses that always will intimate that you're not in it some reason, because this happened, or you felt like this, or this went longer than that 10 seconds. Where your being is, you're out. You've been disqualified all the time. So it's still playing the gatekeeper. It's bogus. Yeah, I mean, as soon as it's like you don't fulfill all the requirements, you see through the requirements. Yeah, it isn't like, oh, I've done the 7 Herculean tasks. You fucking don't start one. Yeah, you just go right to like there was a chapter in the Course in Miracles. It says, I need do nothing. Beautiful chapter. Where, if you don't know the Course in Miracles, interesting. To me, it's a download, yeah? So, in this chapter, it talks about a lot of paths, which is like meditation, contemplation, service, all these ways, yeah? And they say, because the mind intends, they will work. This is the power of what we are. No matter how you look at it, the mind will look at this place as dreaming itself out of the dreaming. Now, what you think is happening may not have anything to do with what it knows is happening. We're dreaming ourselves out of the dreaming. So some people will use a path, meditation or contemplation or service or yoga or whatever. So Course in Miracles says, if the mind, not you, but mind, intends, they're all going to work. But they may take a lot of time. Yeah? So it says, if you've been introduced to this book, it's one of its main points is to save you time. And so it goes, well, you look at all these things, and what happens is, if they're worth their salt, they're going to lead to a realization, and the realization is, I need do nothing. Yeah? But it looked like you did a whole lot, and then you arrive, and what the gift, seemingly, of doing a whole lot is the negating of all the purpose of doing a whole lot, because the download is, I need do nothing. So wait a minute, wouldn't it have been nice if I heard that before, maybe, yeah? So instead of doing a lot of stuff to arrive there, maybe I could be living from there. Yeah? So I saw that possibility, really. So it would say, because I looked at all some things that I had done, they basically added up to nothing. So why not start at nothing? Save yourself some time. There's no choice or anything, but you're just there. So I need do nothing. Really cool. So I spoke in this yoga studio in Philly, and they have a famous yogic mantra, and they translate a lot of different ways. In this translation, the lady had it as gone, 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 yeah, to the other shore. And in Buddhism, the other shore is, awakeness, whatever, yeah, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. So gone, 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 to the other shore. Upon arriving at the other shore, on having never left. Yeah, so what I felt like, let's just erase the first few sentences and just have on having never left, which is the name of our new book. So basically, on having never left, whatever. Yeah. So it's sort of like if you look at all fairy tales, they usually start at once upon a time, and then, but exactly, that's where we start. But if the first sentence in the book was on having never left, there you go. Put the fucking book away. Because you've read the last page. So you can read it as the first page, you might as well. And then maybe you travel later through all the gones and the other shores, or whatever it may be. But, you'd be traveling lighter because what you expected to find there and then, which is somewhere else and at some other time, you have an engagement as it, already. Yeah, so you have a certain contentment and satisfaction that really produces an immunity to a lot of temptations of seeking, planning my next trip to the other shore and stuff. You just basically, you've realized on having never left. So let's cut out the going and all the packing and everything like this. On having never left. So to me, I need do nothing could be the starting point instead of having it, because it's going to show up anyway. I believe if something really big happened with you here, like in this little time frame, if something hits you, I would believe that part of that download would be, it's always been this way. I really do. So it reveals that all that you believed wasn't true. So that which was this sought after goal with the hopes of being the panacea for all that disturbs what I'm not, you would actually arrive at, you would see that, bam, it's always been this way. So it sort of negates the whole purpose of arriving. So you're going to learn it anyway. Why not, jump a few classes and go to room 101 on having never left. And then there'll be a lot of recess and you'll be let out to play earlier, and basically you'll have all the education you need, which is you've seen enough of what you're not. You've recognized its source, which is us, actually, what we really are, and the illusory quality that it seemed to have a lot of is seen through, because you're in cahoots with it. For something to appear real, it has to appear real to what's real. I don't believe there's an illusion that's good enough to fool reality, unless reality is in cahoots with it. Yeah, really. Because then if Maya was more powerful than what you are, then it would be the God. Yeah, it would be everything. Then you would be seeking after something. But basically, the illusory quality of anything doesn't come from the thing, it comes from us. Okay? We believe certain things and then something seems to be so. Yeah. And some of the stuff that seems to be so because it isn't so needs a process to seem to be so. And the story of you as this long-lasting independent action figure, the doer, doesn't arise. It didn't when you were a baby. You didn't think you were someone and you took the shit in your pants that your mom's going to clean up, or you didn't show any signs of embarrassment for being guilty for something, farting and everything, walking around. It grew in a way, this idea, and then it got overgrown, basically. So, and then you start, see, to me, if you start to try to get back, it's just adding to the fucking map, I do. I think the freedom is before bondage. I think you see the reality or the factualness of bondage is not so, and then you get a hit of something that's really always available at all times. It's not acquired, and you don't have to go through a Herculean task to sense it. It's available readily, right where you think you are at all times, with no requirement necessary to meet it. You are it. It's way past or way before the point of you meeting the truth. You are it. And now we're not an object in a dream or in something else's dream. We're the dreaming of the place. We're dreaming this. Not as Paul, but as what I am. And so, then you're not in argument with all this. You see, hey, I have no idea what's going on because it's above my pay scale as this, basically. I do much better with the I don't know than I know a whole lot. I do. And because basically, I'm pretty good. I can be directed by cues. It's not good if I start wearing a general's uniform. It just doesn't go well. So you just show up and then you start living, or your dance in life is different. It's not like a rote playlist, it's got a lot more improvisation. And after a while, this I believe, because, Yes, there is no free will, but when there's this individualization, there's a feeling of free will. You gotta realize that. So I wouldn't spend a weekend trying to convince that which thinks it has free will that it doesn't have free will. I think it's wasted point. Just see you're not that which feels like it has free will. Really, because the pantomime, the act is gonna go on, and it doesn't, if you believe if this was super clear, the act still goes on. The action figure still goes on. It's doing its little pantomime and stuff like that. I don't see how there's no inclusivity. What's the big deal? Something appears in time in a certain way, and then the timelessness is the context of it. Yeah? They're not running into each other. One is included in the other. The timelessness, let's say, is the context, and then there's this activity, dreaming of time, really, and that's what we're doing. We're dreaming of time. And people don't see if you look at most people driving, it's the influence of time. Yeah, look at it. Look like if you have a place to go, you need to get somewhere, tons of obstacles are seen. If you're just chilled out, none of the traffic's bothering you. You don't see your role in it, of course. What's provoking that urge is time. But just because it's not wet, you don't think it's like a dry current that's influencing us every second of the day here. It's the whole magic. It's the main wand of the magic trick. It's time. The basic premise of the identification as Paul is of time. That which comes after, which is the noun of Paul, the doership of Paul, the feelership of Paul, comes after the feeling and the doing. And is implied after claiming the feeling and the doing to be the one who's feeling and doing. That's all you need to see. Start there, because that's the basic premise of everything else. It's sort of like, here's one equation, and then multiplied as many times as it wants. But it can't leave the rudimentary machinery of it, which is that which comes after is implied to be before. Then we start at a fake before, to the point we're looking for what is before as an idea, a conceptuality after. So I believe I'm going to arrive at truth when you are the truth. And it feels fucking right, but it's incredibly wrong in a weird way. Yeah, because the horse is behind the cart. Yeah, the horse is behind the cart. It's just a switcheroo, and the switcheroo, when it seems to click, it tells you it was never the other way. It was just appearing to be the other way. In other words, the correction is of an imaginary problem. Once the correction occurs, there's no need for a correction because it was seen that there was never really a problem. It is so economical, you don't even need a solution. Yeah? When there's the problem, you need a solution. But if you find the solution to this problem, it tells you there was no problem. So there goes the solution. You don't need a little pocket to keep the solution or rub it or remember it. You don't have to, there's no way you need to remember what's never not here. I mean, why would you have to, hey, I'm with Paul, but I have to keep remembering Paul. Oh, no, Paul's right there. I don't need to remember Paul. He's right here. You know what I mean? I only need to remember Paul when he's not here. Exactly. So you're not here as Paul, so you need to be remembered. You do. That's what it's doing. It's remembering this idea of Paul. Now, how does it do it? It made up past and future. So it sees Paul in the past every day. You have memories. I drove by this place. Then the brain goes, hey, I've been here before. So it pictures Paul in Victoria last year. How does it picture Paul? As the infinite void? No. As a skinny old dude. Yeah? That's how it pictures Paul. All right, so if I'm nonchalantly relying on that information, sooner or later it's going to be assumed I'm Paul. It just gets comfortable in a weird way. And then when you're worrying in the future, it's another form of remembering you. Yeah? Because you're picturing you as a body being destitute in the future, even though you're not right now, but the fear of it may happening later overrides now. And so you're remembering Paul with future speculation. It's not your future speculation, it's the mental process. You haven't done a damn thing, really, you haven't. All right, so it goes this way and this way, because it isn't so it has to be remembered. So it remembers I was so, and it remembers I will be so, therefore I am so. Yeah, see it. If you don't see it, listen to the talks. Let me be your eyes and ears for this little thing, and then let it land and see if it does something with you. Yeah, that's all. This is an invitation. I'm just reporting back. Yeah. I wouldn't have signed up for this. If I knew what it was going to be like as an action figure, I wouldn't have signed up. Much rather be painting my face and going in Amazon and doing ayahuasca and fornicating with some Brazilian woman saying she's a shaman. Whatever, It'd be great. I could write blogs all day about that. Maybe do a little video. I fought the snake and I destroyed the snake of ego. I vanquished it and now I'm free. Look at me, I'm free. Yeah, come and I'll take you out on the new show. You know what I mean? Who knows? But at least it'd be interesting. It'd be exciting. You follow my day now. A rumble? Oh, by the way, yes, rumble. I have a rumble in the morning, try to connive myself to a thrift store, got boarded, worked out a little, swam, talked to my friend of mine. That was it. Yeah. I'm not moved much anymore. Why would I be? If you see the futility of the whole mechanism, what's the best response seemingly as the mechanism? I don't know, chilled outness. You just realize all that I was hoping this would lead me to and arrive at and get as this, it's been shown to be a total illusory little fairy tale. So what happens? I don't know. Find out. But I'll tell you, the interest and attention will be redistributed, and I bet you will enrich your day. Instead of enslaving your day to yesterday and tomorrow, it will enrich your day now, yeah? And instead of like a base of anxiety and restlessness and irritability, you'll be okay, satisfied, content, yeah? And you'll have a very living sense of the word enough, You'll hit enough quite a lot and you're chilled out, yeah? I don't need 8 lattes. 1 will do, a good one. Yeah? I hit enoughs, they're easy. Yeah? But when you're searching, it's never fucking enough. First it's a weekend, then it's a week, then it's a 3-month retreat, then you gotta mix some tantra in there, fucking get a little therapy in the morning, then maybe vegan, and they're never in Newark, New Jersey, they're in fucking Costa Rica, Hawaii. Do a 10-day retreat in Hoboken, New Jersey. See how you do. I'd like to see that happen. You would see more of what you're not there than you will in Costa Rica, kayaking, and I have my 11 o'clock foot massage, Yeah, if you're really interested, yeah. So, I don't, everything's, can you imagine you could do the same thing, and if you were chilled out, it would be fine, I stop a lot and sit there. I don't have a calendar. I meditated today. But it's not like I don't have I'm not like a doctor coming into my daily life and, all right, his blood, it's not much checking in, but, I feel meditated. So you just sit there. You don't have to spend an hour, just a second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, Get on with the day, just go around. Yeah. So, again, I would like to point out warnings that I've run into when we start entertaining this idea of non-duality, yeah? And in this direction of negation, yeah? It's not denial. A denial would be, I'm not that. A negation is, I'm not that. Yeah, it's factual. You're just, all right, I'm not that. It's not a big, I'm not that, So, what happens is, just like when we're talking here, there's a sense that you're the hero of the message. Like you came here, you think you have interest maybe, and you're sitting here and you're hoping maybe to get something, maybe an understanding or feel something, all right? What I'm saying is that's the bondage of self in a way. So the message is never directed to you. It's thrown over the head of that, yeah? I do not want to talk to the sheep about being a lion. I want to talk to the lion about not being a sheep. I do. I saw it in other groups. The first format didn't seem to work for me. And I have enough confidence in it that I think it doesn't work for a lot of people, yeah? I think it's a misdirection. If I keep talking to the sheep about being a lion, the sheep can only hit a point of understanding, which is I can become like a lion, which is always in the future, based on a lot of stuff the sheep's gonna do, yeah? Now the sheep can't entertain it's a lion because the lion is entertaining that it's a sheep, yeah? So you've got to sort of point out to the lion about the sheep. It doesn't go anywhere to keep pointing to the sheep about a lion. Because the sheep can only reach the level of I can become like a lion. Yeah? The sheepness will override the message that you are what you're looking for. It won't get through. It won't. Yeah? You can come to 800 talks. You may feel like it got through in the talk, but when you leave, it will be once again the sheep trying to figure out how to become more like a lion. You can see that. Yeah? You can see that. So if you see that, obviously you're not that. Yeah? You can see the sheep. You can see you, what you are, believing it what it's not, and then looking for what it is to get an advantage for what it's not. Really. See, the sheep wants to get an advantage as a sheep, and it thinks if I acquire lion attributes, I won't take any shit anymore. I'll fucking kick some ass or whatever. So it looks very attractive to the sheep to become like a lion. Yeah? But when you speak to the lion about the sheep, it doesn't find a huge amount of attraction in being a sheep. It's give or take it now, which it can't possibly entertain when it's identified as a sheep. But when it sees that it's not the sheep, there's a possibility, hey, I'm not that. And let's see what happens. Maybe more lion will bleed through my life. And instead of taking roaring lessons, I'll be able to roar like that. I won't have to practice being a lion. I am a lion. I mean, I don't see why would I want to ask what's completely mindful to practice mindfulness? I think to me seems insane to me. It's like trying to use a quality of what you are to practice what you are. I'd rather just realize, what I'm not. And then these things that I would hope to try to acquire become available. Yeah, so, I mean, what are people attempting to feel like? I would imagine they want to feel awake all day. Well, it's easy. You are. If you could fire the toll keepers and the permission givers and the critiquers and the committee that will allow or disallow you being okay, if they could be fired or be seen as you in many, many guises, to see that, hey, this is Julia Kangaroo Court. I've never been convicted. I've just acted as if I've been convicted. So let's, so now suddenly such a huge pressure is lifted. And you'll sense it as this, you'll feel, I don't know what you'll feel, but I know you'll find out if you entertain these ideas. You will. Because these ideas are not going the wrong way. They're not. They're going right where attention needs to be put to. Not to what you are, but to what you're not. And so that you can see from what you are that you may not be that. Yeah? Then that, because it's sort of like the old story, we had the glove in the hand, we're always trying to make images, because imagery is better communication than words. So the glove in the hand is sort of like, all right, here's the hand, it's the animating principle, and it's in a glove. And while in the glove, it forgets it's the hand, And now the glove mentality keeps claiming the animation of the hand as its own quality. So the glove believes it's living, yeah? So the glove is living, da-da-da, doing this, doing that. But at the engine is the hand, yeah? And so then the glove is running into some trouble. It's not really feeling that great as a glove. And so it goes to a meeting and they talk about being a hand. Now, it sounds pretty cool as the glove. So now the glove wants to become a hand, even though it is a hand already. That's animating it. And there really is no glove. The glove is inherently non-existing. The glove has a new target. I'm going to become more like a hand. Yes? And then in the world of gloves, it looks noble. Yeah? Oh, there's another glove wanting to be a hand. Let's support him in this endeavor. You know what I mean? Let's give him a nice position, nice place to become a hand, become more like a hand as a glove. Yeah? So let's just look at the glove. Fuck the hand. Yeah, I don't want to hear another description of what I am. I want to hear a description of what I'm not, so I can recognize it from what I am, I'm not that. Because I spend a lot of time hearing descriptions of what I am as what I'm not, conceptualizing, I am is consciousness, or this or that. It didn't hold any water here. You know what I mean? It was just extra baggage, really. It was all dead. There was no life to it, you know? If I was in the right condition and circumstances for a few days, but when I came out here, it would sort of like wash right off. A few days in fucking Victoria, wash it right off. A few hours, yeah? So somehow it hit me, this is pointless. What the hell? What's going on? Why can't I break through this obscuring agent? Because you are the obscuring. You're the one that's projecting the obscuring. There isn't something that's out to get you and block you from the sunlight. It's us. You know? It's sort of like here, I'm sitting here on the land and I want to get some sun today because I don't know any tanning salons here, so I've missed my daily tanning. So I want to get some sun, but I'm dependent on the formation of the clouds. A cloud could block me from the sun, yeah? Even though I put the fucking screen on, I took the day off, but the clouds, those fucking clouds, you know? But the exact same thing, if you were on the sun side, really, you would see the clouds, but they wouldn't have the ability to block you off from the sun. You'd see the exact same clouds, but their influence or effect would be severely diminished, yeah? Because you're not here. You're here. The sunlight of the spirit you're seeking, you're using it to look for itself. You are the sunlight of the spirit. You see, you've put it off. As soon as you inject time into it, then it becomes infrequent. And then who judges your closeness or farness to what you are? What you're not. What you're not plays God with the God that you are. It's an insane move. Yeah. It can never happen. It can seem to happen in time. You can feel like you're something other than what you are. But how long does it last? 100 years at most? 90 years? It's nothing, really. It's like a blip that never even happened. But while you're seemingly in it, it feels like a real fucking thing. But I'm telling you, like we shared the other day, you were dreaming last night and you had a dream of like one bite of the Thai food last night, 5 seconds. That's all the dream was about, that you were aware of. Then the next night you have a giant epic of a dream, 300 years, tons of different lives and continents and everything like that. It takes the exact same amount of time to wake up from both of them. The 300-year dream doesn't take 3 months to wake up. And the 5 second doesn't take 5 seconds. The waking up is the exact same because time fucking doesn't matter. Yes? When it comes to what you are, time has no relevance. There is no time that you have not been what you are. There's not been one moment in time that you have been successfully removed from what you are. It's an impossibility, yeah? So upon having never left, if that was the first, if that was like our first, when we got up, if that was the basis of our day, I'll tell you, we would travel lighter that day, for sure. Yeah? Because you would see by having the quote-unquote feeling of the solution on having never left, you would see the problem. You would see the activity of time, how it's moving, the action figure, how it dominates, how this and that. You'd see it. You'd see so much. Instead of looking from its effect, you'd see it's attempting to produce an effect. Yes? And you would see, just like thoughts aren't appearing here. Quote unquote, my thoughts aren't broadcasting to you. Yeah. They're playing to an audience, us. The thought system's playing to the empty auditorium. That's what we are. It's playing to us. What we are is breathing life into this story of what we're not. You have to see the role of what you are here. You're the giver of all meaning. Yeah, you are the dreaming. You are the dreaming of what you're not. You are as what you are. Maybe you better come to terms with that. For me, coming to terms with it is a field of acceptance. Really. This which had to beg or perform or somehow fill requirements to be accepted for maybe a half hour or an hour, maybe you could watch a movie or something, but then get back on the wheel. Now is like in a field of acceptance. What an amazing way to live as this, because this, it's better than like 50 Thai massages, really. It's a different type of relaxation. It is. It's like a coil. Some of the coil of the coiledness is gone. Yeah? Still has a spring, but it's not. Yeah? It's just, you know? Yeah. And a lot gets revealed. When you stop looking, you see a lot more. I'm telling you. This is my little hypothesis. There's the seeing of awareness. Now, when awareness is thrust into time, it turns into looking. Yeah? There's an intent there. There's a subtle, what's around the next corner? What's over that hill? Yeah? What's over that fence? There's something. So then we're using the seeing to look for a seeing. Yeah? So all the while, that's the seeing. So when you use the seeing to look for seeing, the seeing is used to blind you from being the seeing. Yeah? And the more you look, the worse it gets. And it's very confusing to the system, because the system thinks, if I'm really into it, that should be a successful formula, but actually it's your own it's the interest and attention captured by what you're not is the biggest deterrent. Yeah, it's much better to lose interest in this topic than to fucking concentrate and sharpen the interest, because you're missing the forest from the trees. This is like a dispersed panoramic view, not a fucking locator, you know? It's more like a lighthouse. It doesn't stop, it just it's more dispersed, and that sense of presence to me is undirected interest and attention, really. It's not going all the fucking wild mental goose chases, yeah, to verify something using the past and future. It's here. Attention and interest is just here. You got enough easily to make it through a fucking day. Yeah? It's not even, it's like you have the perfect electric thing. You never run out of gas. You can live, each day doesn't suck all your attention and interest out. Dwelling in 50 years of imaginary effects could, yeah? But a day isn't demanding much. The other interest and attention is just sort of, like, to me, it's the sense of presence, really. It's just there. Yeah. Some shit gets called out, but then, yeah, it's not like, send the army to the past. What's going to happen to me 5 years from now? I don't fucking know. Well, don't you think you should be thinking? No, I don't. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So, yeah. So please, don't waste time trying to convince the dreamt it's the dreaming. It doesn't go anywhere. Don't waste time trying to convince that which thinks it's a body, it's not a body. Do not get into a fucking philosophical argument about self-will. You feel like you have will if there's a sense of being a you. That's how it goes. Ramana says it in one of his writings. If there's a sense of individualization, there's a sense of free will. Yeah? Is there free will? No, but there's a feeling of it. Yeah? So what do? Do the next right thing. Wow, that's a fucking arcane thing to study for 30 years. No, just do the next right thing. That's pretty simple. If you want to know about the past, if something was supposed to happen, it did. And if it wasn't, it didn't. There you go. Investigation's finished. Yeah? Like the head would love to, I'd be a professional surfer if I hadn't got hit by the car, but I did get hit by the car. Yeah? It tries to forget a very important fact. You got hit by a car. No, let me assume that you didn't, and you would be so great, frolicking and jumping and everything, but I got hit by a car. It hates these fucking inconvenient facts because it can't get its story going, yeah? And it likes to go imagining, yeah? And the thing is, if it's about you, the interest of attention, like a pack of dogs, is going to go with it, yeah? And that's what brings the light to the past and the future. It's only us, yeah? So I used to always joke about Lazarus. Jesus, one of his main credits was that he brought a man back to life, Lazarus, right? Resurrected him. But we're making shit out of nothing. We're doing the same miraculous work. We're making a lot of shit out of nothing by just thinking, yeah? How can next week flood into now unless it's brought by us here? I mean, no Labrador is worrying about will he be playing fetch next week. It's just fucking here, yeah? But us, we can, yes, this could happen, that could happen, yeah? It's only interesting because it's about you. You wouldn't put up with us. If your head was constantly reminiscing about Stanley and you're not Stanley, or you never went out with a Stanley, you'd have no fucking interest in it at all. It's all the presentation. The presentation it's because it's about you, yeah? It's the identification as the object of thought that makes the thoughts coagulate around the object. You're the gravitational pull. Like people would say to me, these fucking damn moths are driving me crazy. Well, just remove the light bulb. If you take the light bulb out, the moths disperse. Yeah, but you want to, what? You're the fucking gravitational pull through the act of being identified as what you're not. That's sucking in the thoughts and the feelings through the laser beam of my to circulate around this imaginary idea, and then it's sort of by moving this fast, it seems to have flesh and blood, and suddenly it's as real can be. It's like Dorothy's in Oz. Yeah. It's all right, the movie goes on, but you could wear the fucking outfit much looser. Yeah? Yeah. And you don't need, whatever. I have a lot of opinions about spirituality as I see it now. I think spirituality is really a brain-body maintenance program. I would love it to be presented that way. Instead of, because like if I have blood pressure and I find that if I sit still for 10 minutes a day, it helps with the blood pressure. But if I'm meditating for 13 hours a day, I must think I'm going somewhere. You know what I mean? My ass doesn't want to meditate. It doesn't. It fucking hurts sitting in the same place. Yeah? But what would make me put up with all that shit? I must think I'm going somewhere. And this has to believe it's going to be there, or it fucking wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? It doesn't believe you're going to transcend this. It believes it's going to transcend this. This whole thing is going. It has no interest in any place where it isn't. It really doesn't. It will spend tons of time trying to become but it has no interest and no time for being. If it can seem like it did something, or to have it, or maybe even better, it did something to lose it, it's interested in that shit. It's interested in becoming and unbecoming, but it's not interested in being whatsoever. It has no interest in it. I'm out of the dream. No, you're not. If you're here, the dreaming continues. Oh, I came out almost like an amphibian from the dream waters, and I'm now observing it free and dry. No, you're fucking in the river. There's no witness of the rivering. We're all in the water. If you can be seen, heard, felt, tasted, and touched, that's the dreaming, as Huang Po said. Whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving. Yeah. Yeah. The dreaming cannot be perceived. Yeah. The dreamt can be perceived. Yeah. If the dreamt thinks it's out of the dreaming and it's still the dreamt, I think it's a mistake. Like Ramana said a beautiful thing. He said, all right, here's a guy sitting in a movie theater and he sees the world and he sees it as unreal. But there's an assumption that he's real. And so Ramana says the circle's bigger. It includes you sitting in the movie theater thinking everything is unreal. That's the dreaming, yeah? So this never gets out of the dreaming. What's after, what's on this side of the camera is never going to be on this side of the camera. Yeah? Yeah. And especially what's on this side of the camera is never going to get before that which is before the camera. That would be, there's a Monty Python skit we used to like. We changed it, but they have safari hats and canteens, and they come out of a big bush, and they're like dying. They have no food, and they have no water, and we're gonna die. And then suddenly they go, hey, there's a film crew. And then suddenly the aperture opens, and there's a film crew, and they have sandwiches and sodas. Oh, we're saved, you know? But the thing, and then there's a film crew watching that film crew. And then there's a film crew, and then, yes, on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's what it's like. So you see, you think, oh, there it is. And then 6 or 7, then you have 100 monkey syndrome, your phenomena. Your head opens up. You realize wherever you are, it's going to arise and say it's you. Yeah. You don't need to be beholden to it, nor does it have to stop. You just see it. Yeah, you see it. Yeah. Nothing has to be changed or altered. Just see. Yeah. And that's the quality that can't be taken from us. Yeah, you can't. You don't have to polish it. It's as clear as clear as clear as clear can be. Yeah. Just see what you're not. See the activities that imply a noun, and maybe you'll get a sense of being a verb, not becoming a verb as a noun, not dreaming I was once a verb as a noun, but being. Yeah, being, like all completely verbing. Yeah, maybe you'll get a feeling like that, and then that's like worth 500 pages of scripture, really. It just has such an impact. Once you feel what it's like really to be you, what you are, it gives you the eyes to see what you're not. Because it's only you as a verb being masqueraded as a noun. It's just a magic trick, yeah? It's going to come to an end because it never really began. Everything happens, but nothing ever happened, yeah? It's just dreaming. No beginning, no end, just dreaming. Yeah. Yeah. This is much more sedate day. Yesterday was, I wanted to cut some people's heads off yesterday, but I always have to cut mine first. Yeah. This is just sitting around entertaining, entertaining ideas and catch it regrouping. Maybe you'll have to catch it once or twice because there's a couple of rings, So the aperture opens, and then that which wasn't seen is seen. And then it opens again, and then that which wasn't seen is seen. And then it opens again, that which wasn't seen is seen. And then it leaps, Then it leaps to a point, And there's a finality of the understanding. It has the ability to be convinced. It's seen something, and there's no turning back. It can't be, that cloth can't be dyed. It's stuff, it's just, there's a clarity that you can rest in, And to me, it's always available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary. That's the only way you could ever rest here. It would have to be always available at all times, right where you are. But if you came early to non-duality and you're having a lot of difficulty as the action figure, my suggestion is don't try to use non-duality as a skillful means. Don't try to get out of you as you. Don't try to get out of self as self. Do some, use a skillful mean that works, like service or something, yes? And then maybe when you're feeling somewhat okay, you can entertain these possibilities. If you're all jacked up and want to get out of something, non-duality will not serve it. It'll just leave you high and dry, which is the greatest teaching, really. It won't go well for what you're not, though. So just if you need help, if your house is on fire, find a pail of water. Don't read about there is no house and there is no fire. I've seen people twist themselves up with non-duality, where they call me up and their girlfriend left them and they can't just fucking start crying. They have to say, well, there isn't a girlfriend, there isn't me, she left, and on and on. I'm gonna hang up on you in a quick second. And then finally, I feel so sorry and sad. There you go. That feeling doesn't disqualify you from what you are. It's like, it's not like a giant non-duality buzzer. You're out. It isn't. That's all your head playing God. Fucking take care of the needs and the situations of this. They're not completely all-encompassing, demanding, but you can't deny it. Or it's going to keep barking, really. I see people who try to use non-duality not to do the steps of AA, and they're drunk non-dualists. They are. I've seen a number of them. Render unto the body what's the body's. Render unto what you are to what you are. Render unto Caesar's what Caesar's. Fucking. So, any questions?
Were there any other warning signs?
There's a lot of warning signs. But grasshopper, you're not ready.
Or whatever you call them.
You may be ready after a large donation, but you're not ready now. No, I don't. Enough's today. If you go to the videos, I go over most of them eventually. I'll use one example. The skin and the snake, I think it's actually a wonderful way of describing something. So there's the skin and the snake. So the skin and the snake, the same snake, but skin and snake, two different views. All right, and so every year, the snake goes through a process called molting, where the skin falls off. It's not doing it. The snake, I'm going to do some molting. It's just, it's the expression of it, right? So All right, so now the skin's whole story is that it's the snake. Yeah? The skin's whole story is that it's the whole snake. Yeah? Like the snake, there is no snake without the skin. So the skin senses that the snake, this molting is going to start, and so it starts jacking into the snake's brain and starts telling the snake, buy a lot of moisturizer, fucking stay out of the noonday sun, watch out for that rock, this and that, because it's trying to save its ass, because if it falls off the snake and the snake continues, was it the snake? So the end result of the molting is like Armageddon to the skin's point of view. So it's broadcasting to the snake, as the snake, up in the head, fucking prolong this, do not let this molting occur. It's going to be the death of us, yeah? So, yeah, snake doesn't go out anymore, constantly lathered with fucking colloidal oatmeal and everything all day, yeah? But then if you look at the same event from the snake's point of view, when the old skin falls off, the snake is lighter, travels lighter, it can go over things better, there's no hooks and everything, and it's more attractive to female snakes. Scales are brighter, hey, it's a huge win-win. So from the snake's point of view, it's like hallelujah. From the skin's point of view, it's like Armageddon. Now, the skin has the bigger megaphone in this event. It's louder and seemingly more persistent, but you can't be more persistent than the contextual silence, really. But you've got to have the ears to hear it. And so a lot of times people, when these things start happening, what they're aligned with is the skin side. Yeah? So they're flipping out. Yeah? The same thing could be seen from the snake's point of view, and you would be able to relax through this quote-unquote process, because in a sense the snake is going to be a lot better. It's got to get undone a little bit and then put back together. This idea is very potent, man. Non-duality isn't a philosophical little fucking sparring thing. Yeah? It can lead to the action figure going into places it doesn't like to go into, like the total futility of life and nihilism and fucking and energy start happening, and it can be quite disruptive to the skin. Yeah? But if you can see that you're not the skin and you can allow the processes to occur, like Jesus said, you'll have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, for those who have the eyes to see. Maybe there needs to be a little bit of reconfiguring so that the system that was taking 110 energy now can handle 220 energy, yes? And be the better for it in a way, and become more useful and of maximum service to others. You may have to go through some things where you feel like I've lost interest in things that made me who I was. I've lost interest in a lot of stuff. It's just the things that the interest was on is going to change. That's all. No one ever loses any interest and attention. It just leaves different topics, yeah? And there's where you have the faith is in the snake, not the skin. Yeah. So, yes. Yeah. I've had people that I became fond with, someone from the Toronto meetings, who killed himself the other day. Right after we did a talk the last day and Tuesday, I saw him and he was doing really good and he was laughing and joking. And he had been going through shit for a few years, entertaining with a lot of people and, thinking he was going to be a teacher. And then some other shit happened, and he went into bouts of depression. I didn't know him too deeply. I only saw him twice a year. But then we did the talk. He played music, the kirtan and everything. And then on Friday morning, he killed himself. And I could see that in the hands of what you're not, non-duality was being used in a very strange way. Yeah. Yeah. and I'm seeing it with other people I know, not well, just people I run into at talks. They've got a huge sense of stuff, and then there's another side comes, and can't make sense out of it. Like they get bummed out and everything like that, and then start trying to blame this idea. But this idea has nothing to do with anything. It's how it's entertained, really. Yeah? And it makes you feel in a weird way, like the old days, people wouldn't hear about non-duality until a lot of shit was, enough disappointments had occurred and enough systems had failed that they saw the utility of trying to use what you are to look for itself. And maybe they were able to handle the rearranging. Yeah? Because it may happen with the action figure. Yeah? Just may. And so who knows? But it's a potent. That which we are is incredibly potent, man. Really, you can make exquisite suffering. The head can make exquisite suffering. And also, it can have the sense and the intimation of the brilliance of emptiness. It has all of that. So, yeah. I joke around a lot. We won't have all this in the recording. We'll cut some of it off. I joke around with this message, but I try to make it look nothing special. But I honor it deeply. I have a huge, because that's the best response as the hose to the water. The hose is just amazingly fucking in awe of the water that comes through. And so I have a huge honoring of it as this action figure. I don't get anything out of it. I really don't. I mean, I don't get any experience from it as this. And yet, it's just the quality of how it feels when it's coming through. How many things have you run into in your life that when you did, you knew it before all knowing, How many things turn into the last answer? How many things? Nothing. This over time has become the last answer. It's taken any need for any other answer away concerning this topic of what I am and what I'm not. Completely away. There's absolutely no interest in me. If you took my blood sample, there'd be 0.00 signs of spirituality. Just none. I'm not interested in concepts, not interested in anything. Yeah. The being is so far beyond knowing, and it's way beyond a mimicking of an experience. Way, way beyond it. Yeah. It's a whole different ballgame. Yeah. It may look so totally mundane and normal to the mental state, but that's its value. The mental state sees no value in it. That's its real value. It's sort of like always available at all times, with no requirement necessary. If the mental state was like Sauron in The Lord of the Rings, it would never see nothing. It would be looking for the ring. Oh, they let them. Nothing could be right out in the fucking open. So beautiful, really. Yeah? Yeah. It doesn't need to provoke wardrobes or fucking things. Yeah? It can just be dog shit awareness. Just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ordinariness. Yeah? Yeah. I mean, does the fish ever worry about the water? No, until it's out of it. Yeah? If you sense that you can never be out of it, are you going to be worried about it? No. Are you going to be in a rush? Do you think you got to get somewhere with it? No. Do you think you could do anything to exile yourself from it? No. Do you think you could do anything to get yourself more into it? No. Yeah? Can this express stuff? Yes. Can this be directed? Yes. Yeah. Can this be useful? Yes, here. Yeah. Could you imagine if you found something or nothing that could wield the tool much better than you could ever imagine? Wouldn't you just relent and give it the tool? Fucking, yeah. I mean, really, wouldn't you? I would. Or I have. Here you go. Throw me a couple of bones. If I wasn't doing this, I really would have wished I heard it, to tell you the truth. I really would have. I would have really would have liked to have chewed this bone. Because I knew something was off with the formatted way of looking for, I knew something was off. I knew it. And I knew when I heard people share about what we are all day, I knew something was off with it. I just knew it. Yeah. And then when it came to be seen, I'm in the act of being identified as something other than what I am. And I'm starting from there all day. The story starts there and ends there. It's like a fucking limited edition when you're a giant mural. You know what I mean? Why would he gets... How can you be held by 128 pages or 98 years? Yes, come on. Yeah, so that's that, I think. Any questions? Yes?
But when you know who you are, does it not change the skin or the hose? Like, does it not change this part of you?
Well, I think I got better looking. I hope. Well, the thing is not knowing who you are being who you are, or what you are. It's knowing what you're not.
Yeah.
That's what allows the influence of being what you are to become obvious. In my own, that's how it seems to work for me. Yeah? And then I lose interest in if I'm doing better or not, really. Like, if I was a stock, I'm not even following my own stock, really, most of the day. I don't, really. It's very foreign to how I seem to have lived in the past. It's nothing special, it's just lack of interest, really. Yeah?
You have a lack of interest in the action character thing?
I have a lack of interest in a lot of stuff, really. And then I feign interest in a lot of shit. Yeah, you gotta have something you're interested in.
Yeah.
So I get interested in New York Yankees. Shit like that. Yeah, follow them. Yeah. Interest, you know what I mean? Yeah. You gotta, this thing, again, the action figure probably does better with a purpose. It does. So make up one, yeah? It's healthy for it. It is. Remember a lot of people, a lot of men who are identified with their jobs and then they retire, they go to hell, a lot of them start drinking or fucking kill themselves because they were identified as being the doer and now they're not doing that activity and it produces a bummed outness, yeah? So this idea that there is no purpose, for that which has to have purpose, it's fucking doesn't work to start entertaining. There's no purpose. Fucking make a purpose. My purpose is for this meeting to end soon. Yeah? My purpose, is fucking, let's go to the thrift store, get another coffee. I don't know, you make shit up.
But what happens when you feel like there really is no purpose? What happens when there is really no motivation?
That's gone,
with
that
it,
point.
but you're just...
That marker has been passed.
For you, it's bad.
Yeah.
Well, for all of us, if you not decide, but just entertain, yeah. Haven't you've driven by it already, haven't you?
Yeah, but when there is no purpose, you said if you're having, it's too hard to talk about.
Well, obviously, I'm saying this, many of this, in this case, needs a purpose. It's healthy for it.
Okay.
Yeah? For the action figure.
Yeah, so I'm saying when the action figure doesn't have a purpose anymore, but there's still the seeming of coming in and out of remembering, then that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's fine with it. Yeah. It makes purposes up. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, except for when you're trying to maybe get a job to make money and you're like,
Yeah,
you
see,
wanna-
yeah,
you always
I
did
haven't
work
worked
that
for,
you had a
yeah, I haven't
purpose
worked
and-
for anyone in a long time.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
There's a whole chapter in the big book to the employer. I never had an employer because I was a drug dealer, not a good one. So you know what I mean? A lot of things in life I'm not very familiar with, really. I don't have much experience. I wouldn't work with me. I mean, I used to have people work with me, other things, but they realized I had no ambition quickly. So I found I better find something I just do myself, because I'm going to sorely disappoint people who want to go somewhere with it, because I just don't have that interest. You know what I mean? So I just painted, I just was a house painter most of my adult life when I was sober. And then I used to buy and sell Buddhas, which is interesting. Art. Yeah, just to have ways of living, you know, without something around my throat. That's all I was looking for. And a lot of trellis. So the Fringe was a good spot for me. Never got married, never had kids, never had a mortgage. You know, it just went that way. I never was interested. It was weird when I was out there using, I had 2 lines I was never going to cross that were there from the beginning. I was never going to get married or have a kid. Never came even close to it when I was an active drug user, which was amazing. Something had just, you know, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So, you know, I can't speak about a lot of stuff. I've never been depressed really, so I don't know what depression's really like. I've watched it in people, and I've seen people that have it for months, and I have a lot of feeling for them, because it must be fucking unbearable to be bummed out all the time, you know? So, but I don't know. I've had a little samples of it when I was laid up getting run over by a car, yeah, and you know, but see, that in that sense for me, oh man, you know, I got run over by a car twice, which is hard to do. You know? If you set out to do it, it would probably be difficult to make happen, but it happened, seemingly. So I got run over, and the guy didn't know what he hit, so he backed up, and he backed up over this leg to give it like the coup de grace. And so I was laid up for 10 months in a hospital bed. 10 months. And, you know, they get me up after a while, put me in a wheelchair, but I was in bed basically a lot of the time, and I had no power over anything really. Just like totally powerless. They wouldn't even talk to me about operations. They'd just take me out, wheel me out. I'd come back, look around, and there was different bandage placements, so I figured something happened. Asked the nurse, oh yeah, they fucking operated on your hip. Oh, it didn't even seem like it was my hip, it was their hip. And then, you know, went on and on. I got broken so many times as a fragile fucking action figure, totally broken. I couldn't bear it anymore, and yet more happened. Over and over. I mean, I hit my end point, and it didn't stop. Fucking way beyond that. So, and I didn't die. I don't know what happened, but I saw a lot of stuff. One of the biggest things that happened to me, I remember they were taking me to my sister's house because I realized I wasn't going to get well in the hospital. So my sister made a deal with the hospital that if she got a hospital bed and they had put me in my own room, I could be removed from her to the hospital and put in her house. And then she'd get me to the hospital, you know, with all the things. And I really wanted to do that. So the day they were taking me out, there was a big hospital, and they had these giant plate glass windows. And there was a big lobby, and there was all these people looking very important running around, and there was a guy, older guy, maybe my age now, but back then, and he was on a gurney, and no one was paying attention to him, and his head was lolling over to the side like this, and I saw him getting in the car, and I saw him, and I saw it, and he saw me, and there was a communication that was unbelievable. I never forgot it. Just that 5 seconds, of understanding, the plight of another action figure. So for some reason, I needed all that to be taught to me. I did. I had to learn about powerlessness. I had to learn empathy. It was going to be helpful for this event. So that's what was needed, so that's what seemed to happen. But I never forgot that dude, that old guy. Because this is quite a lot about, this is the deal in the dreaming of subjective uniqueness. This is where it ends up sometimes. People are surrounded by people, but it's completely alone. It's unbelievable considering we're not that. How deeply felt that can be. So, yeah. I don't know where that went, but yeah. The idea of purpose, you just wear things loosely, that's all. Yeah? Why would you ever want to become fundamental about a philosophical idea? Yeah? This is a living thing. Non-duality is a fact. Let's see how it works on you from behind the scenes. Yeah? Like to me, I have a way of life called recovery. And to many people, it's a path of illumination. But to me, non-duality illuminates whatever path you're on. You are the light that you're using to seek for light. You are that light. Yeah? What needs to get undone isn't you. Yeah? What you're not can get undone. It can. Yeah? But what you are cannot get undone. It can't get touched. It's like the sky today. It allows everything to appear in it, yet nothing that appears in it affects it. That's what mind is like. Big mind. You're not one thing that ever happens left a blemish on what you are. Ever. This thing just lives and soaks in a bath of relevance. It thinks it's relevant. It thinks it's so relevant it can stop you from something. It can't. Yeah? It's a shadow that's taking on the form of the person, and then you're running away from it. Yeah. So, yes. Any more questions? I didn't even know what you were asking. Really. Went off somewhere. Yeah. I don't like the dismissal of humanness in the fundamentalness of an idea. Yeah? The sloppiness of what's happening here is always going to blemish the absolute pure shore of fucking intellectual non-duality. Dogs will shit on it. There'll be beer cans, plastic wrappers. You have to, yeah.
When an action figure hears this thought, though, sometimes I think purposelessness is one thing they hear, and the fact that you're powerless too. And that they might relate to it because it's true. Because there really is no purpose in the sense that you can get over it and it's...
Exactly. So really, powerlessness is the source of power in recovery. That's the whole point, is finally admitting your powerlessness, and then you don't experience powerlessness. You're only experiencing powerlessness trying to use power you don't have. That's what produces the frustration that no one's doing what you want them to do, is because of lack of power. So it's the admittance of powerlessness, then you have a lot of power. Yeah? Like, what cocaine dealer follows the philosophy of you have it by giving it away? None that I know. Yeah? That's, in a way, that's another way of living here. You have it by giving it away. What? You know, your little mental logic goes, what? You know, doesn't figure it out. That's the beauty of it. Why do you want everything fucking framed by this insane mental logic? You know, it's weird. When the mental logic claims to be the seer of how things are going, what really works is held as paradoxical. Only by a failed fucking system. It's a beautiful way of working, but when you read it from the failed system, that's very paradoxical. No, it's fucking this should be questioned, not fucking how things work, how this works. It's based on an imaginary premise that's constantly getting reinforced by the system. And then one of the greatest methodologies of the system is you want to get out of the system as the system. It has you. The out is the biggest in of the system. The hope of being out is the biggest in. The mind opens up, you'll see more. Yeah. All right, that's it, eh? Thank you. Yeah. I like Victoria. It's nice. I like this space in here too, man. Isn't it? Beautiful, the wood in it. Very nice.
So we